The most terrifying force in this world isn't the one that roars. It's the one that moves in silence, steady, unshaken, and impossible to predict. Chosen ones, that force is you. You've become so untouchable that your enemies don't even try to fight anymore. They flee. They can't handle the weight of your presence, the pressure of your growth, or the way the universe seems to protect and push you forward no matter what. Now imagine this for a moment. Chosen one. You walk into a room, and without saying a word, the air changes. People who once mocked you now can't hold your eye. People who once laughed at you start to fidget in their seats. That's not power you begged for. That's power you became. And when people can't cage, control, or copy you, they label you as dangerous. Here's a fact to make it clear. You're absolutely right about what's happening. Psychologists have long noted that when people can't figure someone out, when they can't put them into a box or predict their moves, fear and jealousy spike. That's exactly why your haters have turned into runners. They thought they could play games with you, but now they see the truth. You're the storm they can't map, the fire they can't put out. They never expected you to become this unshakable, and it terrifies them more than anything else. And thank you, Chosen One, for being here. Don't forget to pay this message back by simply pressing like and subscribing. It helps spread this message to more souls, because it's the responsibility of all of us to spread the light. Thank you, Chosen One, for being part of this mission. You are part of a force greater than anything your enemies can imagine. Now let's return to what's really happening. You've stepped into a version of yourself that doesn't bow, doesn't shrink, and doesn't wait for permission. That's why the title of this message is so true. No one has ever been so dangerous like you. Dangerous not because you swing your fists, but because you rise above the traps set for you. Dangerous because your mind has outgrown the cages others tried to build around it. Dangerous because you no longer seek approval, you simply exist as yourself, and that shakes people to their core. Your enemies are running, not because you chase them, but because your very being exposes their weakness. They can't stand beside you without feeling small. They can't look at your progress without feeling like failures, and they can't stop thinking about you, even when they pretend you're nothing. It's a strange thing, isn't it? People claim to hate you, but they can't stop watching. They act like they don't care, but they track your every move. They paint you as the villain, but deep down, they wish they had your courage. You've become the mirror they can't face, the reflection of what they could have been if they hadn't sold themselves short. That's why they scatter like shadows when you enter the light. They're not running from you, they're running from themselves. The universe has made you into a living reminder that truth, resilience, and authenticity are unstoppable. And the more you shine, the more those who hide in lies and insecurity panic. They can't survive in your energy. It drains them, exposes them, unmasks them. That's why their only option is retreat. And let's be honest, Chosen One, doesn't it feel almost poetic? All the ones who tried to bury you now tripping over themselves just to escape your glow. But here's the beauty. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to prove anything. Your life itself is proof. Your silence makes more noise than their shouts. Your moves speak louder than their gossip, and your victories are louder than their lies. You've turned their weapons useless because nothing they say can erase what the universe has built within you. That's what makes you so dangerous. Not aggression, not revenge, but the undeniable fact that you keep moving forward, untouched, and they can't stop it. So, Chosen One, remember this. Your haters aren't abandoning their attacks because they've grown tired. They're running because they've realized the war is already lost. Every time they try to strike, they lose ground. Every time they try to pull you down, you rise higher. And every time they whisper against you, your name echoes louder. They thought they could trap you, but instead, they built the stage for your power to be revealed. And now, they're watching it all unfold, powerless, terrified, and desperate to get away. This is why no one has ever been so dangerous like you. You embody what they fear most: freedom, self-respect, and an energy that refuses to be controlled. That's why your enemies run, not because you're chasing them, but because your very existence is enough to send them into panic. And that, Chosen One, is the sweetest victory of all. So, Chosen One, before we go any further, I want you to do something powerful. Drop a 777 in the comments if you know your energy has been too much for people to handle. Because the truth is, they didn't just see you, they felt you. They caught a glimpse of your spiritual strength, and it was almost too much for them to survive. That's why this message is so important. Stay with me until the very end, because if you've ever wondered why people act so strange around you, why they run, or why they can't keep your name out of their mouths, you're about to see the full picture laid out step by step. And believe me, Chosen One, if you truly carry this rare energy, you'll feel every word of this message pulling at your soul. This is not just another video. This is a mirror showing you exactly who you are and why you've become so dangerous. Now let's get started. Number 1. Your energy is a loaded weapon. They'll never see coming. The most dangerous enemy isn't the one screaming in your face. It's the one smiling, silent, and waiting for the perfect strike. Chosen One, that's you. Your energy is a weapon so sharp, so unpredictable, that it keeps your enemies awake at night. They don't know if you'll move like the calm breeze or crash down like a tidal wave. And that's exactly what makes you terrifying to them. Think about it. Predictable people are easy to control. They show their hand, they follow a pattern, they're simple to cage. But you move like lightning. You show up in places they thought you'd never reach. One day, you're quiet, disciplined, minding your own path, and the next, you're shaking the ground beneath their feet with a victory no one saw coming. They can't map you, they can't label you, and they sure as hell can't stop you. That's why you're dangerous. Not because you're reckless, but because you're strategic, and your unpredictability is the key that keeps you untouchable. Now imagine this for a moment. Chosen One, your enemies sit around plotting, whispering, trying to guess your next move like gamblers hoping to win a game they've already lost. They shuffle their cards, roll their dice, and prepare for a battle. But by the time they've finished guessing, you've already built an empire in silence. They thought you'd zig, you zagged. They thought you'd collapse, you rose higher. They thought they had you cornered, and you slipped right through their fingers like smoke. That's why they're scared, not of what you did last, but of what you might do next. Here's a fact. Studies in psychology show that unpredictability creates more fear than outright aggression. When people can't anticipate what's coming, their nervous system stays on edge, like prey in the wild sensing a predator it can't see. That's the reality of your haters, Chosen One. They live with that gnawing tension every time your name comes up, every time they scroll past your progress, every time they realize you've pulled off another win they didn't expect. You don't even have to lift a finger. Your existence alone is enough to scramble their nerves. And maybe you wonder, why does my energy scare people so much? I'm just living my life. The answer is simple. Your energy exposes their weakness. Your unpredictability reminds them they're predictable. Your adaptability shows them how rigid and stuck they are. You reflect back everything they lack, and it kills them inside. It's not your fault their spirit can't keep up. It's not your fault they chose mediocrity while you chose movement. But don't expect them to admit that. Instead, they'll call you dangerous. They'll try to smear your name. They'll label you as unstable, all because they can't predict or control you. Let's not sugarcoat it. Your enemies are cowards. They hate you because they can't read you. They hate you because you break every rule they thought you had to follow. They hate you because your silence is louder than their noise, and your victories sting sharper than their insults. You are, to them, the embodiment of a nightmare they can't wake up from. And what do people do when they're terrified? They run. They scatter. They pretend they're not watching, even as they track your every move. Chosen One, here's the raw truth. Your unpredictability is survival, but it's also power. You've mastered the art of being calm when it's time to wait and fierce when it's time to strike. You're not chaotic, you're calculated. You've learned how to adapt, shift, and change form like water. And water, as Bruce Lee once said, can crash or it can flow. That's you, flowing when needed, crashing when necessary. And the world doesn't know how to handle a force like that. Picture this. They're busy sharpening their swords for a battle that never comes, while you're planting seeds for a harvest they can't touch. They're running drills in the dark, while you're already standing in the light with victories stacked at your feet. They thought unpredictability meant danger for you, but in truth, it meant destruction for them. Every plan they make crumbles because you don't move by their schedule. You move by the rhythm of the universe itself. And the irony? They call you unpredictable as an insult, but deep down, they admire it. They wish they had the courage to be as untamed, as free, as unchained as you are. But admiration mixed with envy turns to hatred. That's why they whisper. That's why they scheme. That's why they try so hard to paint you as a villain. Because if they admitted the truth, that they fear you and secretly want to be you, they'd crumble under the weight of their own weakness. So let me make it plain. Your unpredictability is not a curse. It's your crown. It's the very thing that keeps your enemies powerless, your haters restless, and your path protected. While they're running in circles trying to figure you out, you're out there rewriting the game, breaking the mold, and setting new rules they'll never catch up to. They're terrified because you've proven you can't be boxed, caged, or silenced. And that, chosen one, is the kind of danger the universe gifts only to the strongest. Remember this, the reason your enemies run isn't because they're tired of fighting, it's because they know they've already lost. They see in you a spirit too wild to pin down, a fire too unpredictable to smother, and a presence too powerful to ignore. You don't need to shout, you don't need to fight. Your energy itself does the damage. And the funniest part, the harder they try to escape you, the deeper they fall into your shadow. So wear your unpredictability like armor, chosen one. Let it remind you that you are not here to be understood. You are here to be unstoppable. Your haters will keep running because every step you take reminds them of the war they can't win. And that's why, in the end, your energy will always be the deadliest weapon in the room, the one they'll never see coming until it's already too late. Number 2, you shatter every box they try to trap you in. They can't hate what they understand, so they hate what they can't define. Chosen one, this is you. The most threatening thing about you is that no label sticks. They've tried calling you too much, then not enough, too loud, then too quiet, too rebellious, then too disciplined, but every word they throw at you slides right off, because you were never built for their categories. You don't bend to their boxes, you crush them. Why does this shake them so badly? Because in a world where people find safety in labels, you're a mystery they can't solve. Labels are shortcuts. They make it easy for people to say, oh, that's just who they are, and move on. But you're a walking contradiction. You're too layered, too complex, too unpredictable for anyone to file neatly away. And when people can't reduce you to a single word or identity, it unsettles them because suddenly they're forced to face the truth. You are far bigger than they imagined. Now imagine this, chosen one. A group of people sits at a table, gossiping, trying to break you down. One person says, they're arrogant. Another interrupts, no, they're insecure. Someone else adds, they're a rebel. The conversation keeps spinning because every label cancels the last one out. They end up frustrated, confused, restless. And what happens in the end? They admit without saying it. We don't know who this person really is. That's the power you carry. You've become an unsolvable riddle, and that makes you dangerous. Here's a hard truth. People crave control. They like neat categories, simple answers, predictable outcomes. That's why society invents so many labels. Introvert, extrovert, successful, failure, sinner, saint. But you, chosen one, you throw a wrench into that system. You are living proof that a person can't be defined by one word, one mistake, or one accomplishment. You embody both strength and softness, discipline and freedom, silence and thunder. And that terrifies those who only know how to function in absolutes. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how quickly people try to define you the moment you step outside their comfort zone? Why is that? It's because your refusal to conform threatens their entire worldview. When you don't stay in the lane, they painted for you, they panic. Your existence itself challenges them. They thought they could predict you, but instead, you keep evolving, expanding, and stretching into spaces they never imagined. You're not here to make them comfortable. You're here to make yourself limitless. Labels are cages dressed as comfort. Remember that. Every time someone tries to label you, what they're really saying is, please make yourself smaller so I can feel safe around you. And chosen one, that's why you can never comply. You're not meant to shrink for anyone's sense of security. You're meant to grow until the boxes they made crack under the weight of your expansion. Now imagine this again. Someone looks at you and says, "You've changed." They think it's an insult, but you smile because that's the point. Growth is change. Evolution is change. Only the stuck, the stagnant, the fearful stay the same forever. So when they call you inconsistent, what they really mean is, you're evolving faster than I can keep up. And that's not your weakness, that's your power. Let me give you another picture. Think of a butterfly. The caterpillar had one label, crawling, slow, ordinary. But the butterfly? It broke every definition that was forced on it. The caterpillar was never meant to stay in one form. Neither are you. That's why your enemies choke on your transformation. They thought they knew you in one stage, but you've already transcended into the next. They're still gossiping about the caterpillar while you've grown wings and taken flight. Here's another fact. In psychology, people cling to labels because it gives them a sense of order in chaos. They want to put you in a box because it soothes their anxiety, not yours. You refusing to conform makes them feel unstable, exposed. They can't handle someone who breaks the pattern because it forces them to confront their own lack of growth. You're not unstable, you're expansive. You're not unpredictable, you're unlimited. They just don't have the language or courage to understand it. And let's be honest, how many times have you asked yourself, why do people keep misjudging me? It's not because you're hard to understand, it's because you're impossible to simplify. That's a compliment, chosen one. It means you've outgrown the tiny definitions that were never meant to contain you in the first place. Here's another quote for you. When they can't label you, they'll try to break you. And haven't you seen it? The more they fail to define you, the more desperate they become to destroy you. Because if they can't predict you, they can't control you. And if they can't control you, they fear you. It's as simple as that. Their whole game depends on shrinking others to fit their worldview, and you've shattered that strategy just by being yourself. Now imagine this final scene. They spend their whole life scribbling labels onto people like stickers. But when it comes to you, every sticker peels off. They try again and again, but nothing holds. You stand there untamed, label-less, free, while they exhaust themselves trying to capture what was never theirs to define. That's when the realization hits them. This person doesn't belong to us. They belong to themselves. And that's when they finally understand why you're so dangerous. Chosen one, remember this always. Labels are prisons, and you were born to break chains. You are not here to be understood by the small-minded. You are here to evolve, to stretch, to grow, to rewrite every rule they thought was permanent. They will keep calling you too much or too little, but deep down they know the truth. You are too big for their boxes and too powerful for their categories. That's why they whisper about you. That's why they scramble to define you. That's why they run when they fail. So wear your complexity with pride. Celebrate the fact that no word can capture you, no label can bind you, and no enemy can reduce you. You are living proof that the universe never makes duplicates, only originals. And that, chosen one, is the most dangerous thing of all. You're undefinable, untouchable, and unforgettable. Number 3, your comebacks hit harder than any attack they launch. They thought burying you would end you, but they forgot you were a seed. Chosen one, that's what makes you terrifying. Your comebacks aren't gentle. They're ruthless, calculated, and undeniable. When life, or your enemies, knock you down, you don't crawl back. You explode back into the scene stronger than before. And nothing rattles a hater more than realizing every attempt to destroy you only builds you. Imagine this. They celebrate when they see you stumble. They whisper, "Finally, they're finished." But before their words are cold in the air, you rise again, taller, sharper, and more dangerous. It's not luck. It's resilience sharpened into a weapon. While they feed on gossip, you feed on growth. While they sit in comfort, you train in silence. So when you return, your very presence feels like a storm they never saw coming. Here's a fact. Psychologists call it post-traumatic growth. Some people break under pressure, but a rare few evolve from it. That's you. Every setback becomes your blueprint for something greater. That's why you're dangerous. You don't just survive the fall, you come back carrying the crown they thought they stole. And maybe you wonder, why do my enemies look shocked when I succeed? Because they bet against you, and every win of yours is their public humiliation. They thought you'd stay down, but you turned their insults into bricks and built your empire. That's the part they can't stand. You don't fight back with words, you fight back with results. So Chosen One, remember this. Your comebacks aren't about revenge. They're about proving yourself right. You rise not to spite them, but to honor the strength the universe put inside you. And that's why you're feared, because no one can keep down a force of nature. You are the earthquake after the silence, the fire after the ashes, the thunder after the storm has passed. And every time you rise, your enemies learn the same painful lesson. Trying to break you only makes you impossible to stop. Number 4, your raw truth burns through every mask they wear. Nothing is scarier to a liar than someone who refuses to play pretend. Chosen One, that's you. Your authenticity cuts like a blade, sharper than any insult your enemies could throw. You don't hide behind fake smiles, shallow trends, or polished masks. You walk into the world raw, unfiltered, and unapologetic. And that is exactly why they can't handle you, because you embody what they are too weak to be: real. Imagine this for a moment. You enter a room filled with people who've rehearsed their lines, practiced their laughs, and polished their false identities like costumes. And then there's you, showing up untouched, unmasked, unwilling to play their game. Suddenly, their armor of deception feels paper-thin. Your presence alone becomes a mirror, exposing their cracks, their insecurities, their fraudulence. That's why they squirm. That's why their voices shake. Your truth unmasks their lies without you saying a single word. Here's a fact. Studies show that authenticity builds instant trust, but it also sparks discomfort in those living fake lives. Why? Because your rawness forces them to see how hollow they've become. Your very existence whispers, "There's another way to live," and it rattles the foundations of everything they've built on falsehood. And maybe you wonder, why does my honesty make people so uneasy? It's because truth doesn't just stand out, it exposes. Your refusal to dilute yourself highlights their weakness. They wear masks for survival, while you thrive without one. And nothing terrifies the fake more than someone who thrives without the crutch they cling to. So Chosen One, never doubt the weight of your presence. You don't intimidate because you're trying to. You intimidate because your authenticity is a fire in a world of shadows. And when fire walks into darkness, it doesn't ask for permission, it consumes. That's why they avoid you, why they gossip, why they run. Because deep down, they know one thing for certain. Your truth is stronger than their disguise, and nothing they do can dim the light of someone who refuses to hide. Number 5, your greatness exposes their smallness. Nothing enrages mediocrity more than the sight of someone who refuses to settle. Chosen One, that's why they see you as a threat. You don't play small, you don't shrink to fit, and you don't stop at good enough. While they cling to comfort zones like life rafts, you're already charting new oceans. And every step you take beyond the limits they accepted reminds them of the chains they chose to wear. Imagine this. A crowd sits content in a dimly lit room, murmuring, convincing each other that this little corner of existence is all there is. Then suddenly, you kick the door open, and sunlight floods in. They cover their eyes, not because the light hurts, but because it reveals how long they've been lying to themselves. That's the power of your ambition. You don't just shine for yourself, you expose everyone else's laziness. Here's a fact. Mediocrity thrives on groupthink. People feel safer when everyone around them is settling. But you disrupt the herd. You remind them that they could have done more, reached higher, fought harder, and that truth eats them alive. And maybe you wonder, why do they hate me for chasing my best life? Because your success is a mirror showing them what they could have been. You didn't agree to mediocrity's contract, and that alone is rebellion. So, chosen one, understand this. You are dangerous to mediocrity because your very existence screams possibility. You are proof that the human spirit was never meant to crawl when it can soar. That's why they try to pull you down, why they mock your ambition, why they whisper behind your back. But deep inside, they know the truth. They're not fighting you. They're fighting the reflection of their own wasted potential. And every time you rise, you remind them, greatness is a choice and you had the courage to choose it. Number 6, you turn pain into the blade that cuts them down. Pain either buries you or it builds you, and you chose to build. Chosen one, that's what separates you from the rest. What shatters others only sharpens you. What silences them becomes the very roar that carries you forward. Your enemies watch in disbelief because the very weapons they used against you, betrayal, rejection, disappointment, are the same tools you forged into your armor. They wanted you destroyed, but instead, you became indestructible. Imagine this for a moment. 2 people face the same storm. One collapses, soaked and broken, cursing the sky. The other, that's you, stands tall, lightning reflecting in your eyes, using the storm's energy to fuel your next move. That's why you terrify them. They expected your pain to leave you crawling. Instead, you rise like steel, fresh out of fire, stronger, sharper, and impossible to bend. Here's a fact. Studies in resilience show that those who learn to reframe pain become more creative, more disciplined, and more unstoppable than those who avoid it. You didn't run from your wounds, you turned them into blueprints. Every scar on you is a strategy, every heartbreak a weapon. That's why your haters panic, because the more they hurt you, the more dangerous you become. And maybe you ask yourself, why do they keep trying if I always rise? It's because they can't accept that the very pain that kills them empowers you. Your resilience is a reminder of their fragility. You've turned life's punches into fuel, while they still cry about the first hit. So, chosen one, understand this. Your ability to weaponize pain is the deadliest advantage you carry. You don't just survive, you transform. You don't just endure, you dominate. You're the proof that pain isn't the end of the story. It's the plot twist that crowns you the victor. And every time you rise from the ashes, your enemies learn the same brutal truth. There is nothing they can throw at you that won't eventually be used against them. Number 7, you break their rules and make the world play yours. Power doesn't belong to the one who follows the rules. It belongs to the one bold enough to rewrite them. Chosen one, that's why you scare them. You don't just bend the rules. You crush the ones that make no sense, and you replace them with something sharper, freer, and bigger. While they kneel to the old order, you rise and remind them that every rule they cling to was written by someone no different than you. Imagine this. The crowd stands in line, quiet, obedient, waiting for permission to live. Then there's you, walking past the line, stepping through the gate, creating a new path. At first, they call you reckless. But when they see the ground beneath your feet transform into solid gold, they realize you weren't reckless at all. You were visionary. That's what terrifies them. You prove that rules are not cages, they're illusions, and illusions crumble the moment someone dares to question them. Here's a fact. Every major leap in history came from someone who broke rules. Inventors, leaders, creators. They were once mocked, punished, and labeled as dangerous, just like you. But the same world that ridiculed them later bowed to their vision. And that's exactly the space you live in now, chosen one. You're not rebelling for the thrill of chaos. You're dismantling what's broken so you can build what's true. And maybe you wonder, Why do they hate me for refusing to play their game? It's because your defiance exposes their cowardice. They follow rules they don't believe in because fear controls them. But you? You live by conviction, not convenience. You don't wait for permission, you create your own map. And nothing shakes the mediocre more than someone who proves the cage door was never locked in the first place. So, chosen one, never apologize for redefining the rules. You are dangerous because you remind the world that authority is borrowed, not permanent. You are the one who shows that limitations are man-made and meant to be shattered. And every time you rewrite the game, your enemies realize the most painful truth of all. You're not just playing differently, you're playing on a level they'll never reach. Number 8. Your silence screams louder than their noise. Real power doesn't announce itself, it's felt before it's seen. Chosen one, that's the secret weapon you carry. You don't need to shout, you don't need to beg for attention, and you don't need to perform. The moment you step into a space, everything changes. The air thickens, eyes shift, conversations stumble. Why? Because your presence alone does what their noise never could. It commands respect without a single word. Imagine this, a crowded room full of people talking over each other, fighting for scraps of attention, desperate to be noticed. And then you walk in. You don't force yourself into the spotlight, you become the spotlight. Their words die down, not because you silenced them, but because your energy made their noise irrelevant. That's the level of intimidation you carry. You've proven what they refuse to accept. That power doesn't need an audience. It creates one. Here's a fact. Psychology shows that people are more influenced by calm, controlled presence than by aggression or volume. Loudness can impress for a moment, but it fades. Silence paired with certainty, that lingers. That's why your aura unsettles them. It's not performative, it's undeniable. And maybe you've asked yourself, why do people act so strangely around me when I haven't even spoken? The answer is simple. Your silence mirrors their insecurity. You're proof that strength isn't about proving, it's about being. They exhaust themselves trying to look powerful, while you simply are powerful, and that contrast gnaws at them. So, chosen one, remember this. Your quiet confidence is louder than their desperate noise. You intimidate not by force, but by presence. You don't chase respect. It bends toward you. You don't shout to be heard. You make silence echo. And every time your energy fills a room, your enemies are reminded of the cruelest truth of all. Their volume will never measure up to the weight of your silence. Number 9. Your dreams live in galaxies. They'll never touch. Small minds will always call your vision impossible, until the day they're forced to watch it become reality. Chosen one, that's why you terrify them. Your vision is not some small hope or fragile dream. It's audacious, massive, and wild. While they're busy building fences to trap themselves in comfort, you're charting constellations they'll never reach. You dream on a scale that mocks their limits, and every time you speak about your future, it rattles them because it shows them just how little they've dared to imagine for themselves. Imagine this. They're sitting in the dark, staring at a candle, convinced that little flame is all there is. But you're already looking past the stars, planning to set fire to entire galaxies. When they hear your plans, they laugh, not because your vision is ridiculous, but because it reminds them of their own cowardice. Your ambition doesn't just scare them, it humiliates them. Here's a fact. Visionaries have always been mocked before they were celebrated. Every breakthrough, every empire, every revolution began as someone's impossible dream. And you, chosen one, carry that same fire. That's why mediocrity fears you. Your goals expose their lack of imagination. And maybe you wonder, why can't they just support me instead of doubting? Because supporting you would force them to confront their own wasted potential. It's easier for them to laugh at your galaxy than admit they never left their backyard. So, chosen one, embrace the fact that your vision is unreachable to them. It was never meant to be theirs. It was entrusted to you. You don't live in their boxes, you live in the sky. And every time you take a step closer to those impossible stars, your enemies choke on the truth. Your destiny was always light years beyond their reach. Number 10. You're the magnet they can't escape. You never had to chase what was meant for you, because gravity itself bends toward true power. Chosen one, that's your reality. You don't run after opportunities, fake friends, or recognition. You stand firm in who you are, and everything that belongs to you finds its way into your orbit. That's why they hate you, because while they beg, chase, and scrape for crumbs, the universe lays entire tables before you without you lifting a finger. Imagine this: they're sprinting in circles, desperate for validation, chasing people who don't even notice them. And you stand still, and yet everything they crave, respect, opportunity, even envy, comes crashing into your atmosphere like meteors pulled by your gravity. That's not luck, that's alignment. That's what happens when you refuse to lower yourself. Your stillness exposes their desperation. Here's a fact. Psychologists call it the law of attraction bias. People and opportunities naturally flow toward those who radiate certainty and purpose. And chosen one, that's your secret weapon. You're magnetic not because you try, but because you embody what others are starving for: authenticity, strength, and vision. And maybe you wonder, why do even my enemies seem obsessed with me? Because attraction doesn't care about intention. Your energy pulls them too. They can't help but circle your light, even while hating the way it blinds them. Their obsession is proof that you don't chase, you command. So, chosen one, remember this: you are the gravity in the room. You don't beg, you don't pursue, you don't chase. What is yours will come, and what isn't will burn trying to reach you. That's why you're dangerous, because your very existence attracts power, and no one, not even your enemies, can resist your pull. Number 11. You're the mirror they can't bear to look into. The truth doesn't hurt, it exposes, and nothing exposes faster than a mirror they can't escape. Chosen one, that's what you are to them, a walking mirror. Every step you take forward, every achievement you claim, every boundary you smash, it all forces people to confront themselves. And that's the real reason they hate you. It's not your success they despise. It's the reflection of their failure it throws back at them. Imagine this. They scroll past your progress and their chest tightens. Not because you wronged them, not because you even thought about them, but because your win reminds them of all the times they settled. Every picture you paint of growth, every move you make in silence, reflects the smallness of the life they chose. They can't look at you without seeing their own excuses collapse under the weight of your proof. Here's a fact. Psychologists call this upward comparison. When people see someone succeeding where they've failed, it triggers shame, envy, and resentment. That's exactly why your presence rattles them. You're not attacking them, you're simply living. But your life itself is the indictment. And maybe you've asked, why are they so bitter when I've done nothing to them? The answer is simple: because you've done what they told themselves was impossible. You turned their excuses into lies, and their comfort into a cage. You are the proof that their stagnation wasn't destiny. It was a choice. And that choice haunts them every time they see you. So, chosen one, understand this. You're not just intimidating because of your wins. You're dangerous because you hold up the mirror they can't bear to face. They hate the reflection, but they can't stop staring. And that's the cruelest punishment of all. Every success you claim forces them to confront the truth they've spent their whole life running from. Number 12. Their villain, your hero. The story they can't rewrite. Every hero is a villain in someone else's story. Chosen one, that's exactly why they can't stand you. To the weak, you're not just misunderstood, you're dangerous. To the insecure, you're not just bold, you're a threat. They twist your name, they distort your motives, they paint you as the shadow. But let's be clear, you don't exist to fit into their little stories. You exist to write your own legend, and that's why their words can't touch you. Imagine this. They gather in circles, whispering about you, calling you selfish, arrogant, cold, too much, too different. In their tales, you're the antagonist holding them back. But here's the irony. They're the ones who chose mediocrity. They're the ones who bowed to fear. You just refused to play along, and that refusal made you the villain in their eyes. But ask yourself, chosen one, does the lion care if the sheep call him dangerous? Of course not. The lion knows who he is, and so do you. Here's a fact. History has always flipped this way. Every revolutionary, every visionary, every person who broke chains was demonized before being celebrated. They crucify what they can't control, and they label as evil anything that refuses to kneel. That's why they cast you in the villain role. It's easier than admitting they envy your courage. And maybe you've wondered, why can't they see I'm just living my truth? Because your truth burns through their lies. You remind them of everything they lack: courage, vision, backbone. By default, they must demonize you, or else confront themselves. So they call you the villain, when all you ever did was refuse to bow. But here's the twist. In your story, you are not the villain. You are the hero who stood when others crumbled, who dreamed when others settled, who fought when others fled. You are the hero who turned pain into power and silence into strength. Their story may shrink you into a shadow, but your story crowns you as a legend. So, chosen one, let them write you as their villain. Because the deeper truth is this: their fear of you is the proof of your greatness. And while they waste their lives spinning stories to make you small, you'll be too busy becoming immortal in your own. Number 13, your quiet cracks, their voices wide open. Noise is cheap, silence backed by results is lethal. Chosen one, that's the weapon you wield without lifting a finger. While they scream, shout, gossip, and claw at your name, you stay still. Not because you're weak, not because you're afraid, but because you understand something they never will. Silence cuts deeper than sound. You don't answer their accusations. You outgrow them. You don't clap back with words. You slap them with proof. Imagine this. They're huddled together, shouting your name, throwing insults into the air, desperate to provoke a reaction. But you're not even in the room. You're in silence, building, moving, stacking victories like bricks in a fortress. And when you finally appear again, it isn't with excuses or arguments. It's with undeniable results that make their noise look like background static. That's why your silence terrifies them. It leaves them powerless, screaming into a void that never answers back. Here's a fact. Psychologists have proven that silence in the face of conflict disarms the aggressor. The brain craves reaction, and when it doesn't get one, it panics. That's exactly what your enemies feel when you refuse to flinch. Your quiet eats at them because it denies them control. They wanted a fight, but you gave them something worse: indifference. And maybe you wonder, but don't they think I'm ignoring them? Yes, and that's exactly why it hurts so much. Nothing burns deeper than realizing their words weren't even worth your breath. They scream to feel important, but your silence proves they never mattered. That's why they spiral. That's why they repeat themselves louder. That's why they eventually collapse under the weight of their own noise. So, chosen one, understand this. Your silence is not emptiness. It's strategy. Every quiet moment is a dagger. Every unspoken word a reminder that you don't fight on their level. You rise, you move, you win, and the echoes of your success scream louder then. Number 14, your presence exposes their lies. Lies travel fast, but truth waits patiently, because when it arrives, it destroys everything built on falsehood. Chosen one, that's what your presence does. You don't have to argue, explain, or defend yourself. The moment you show up, every rumor, every twisted story, every whispered lie crumbles under the weight of who you really are. That's why they dread being in the same room as you, because your reality cancels out the fiction they worked so hard to create. Imagine this. They've spent weeks, months, maybe even years building a fake image of you. They call you weak, broken, finished. They laugh about your struggles, exaggerate your scars, and spread their poison to anyone who will listen. But then, you walk in, glowing, calm, unshaken. And suddenly, all the people who swallowed their lies start questioning everything they were told. Your very existence is proof that your enemies were storytellers, not truth-tellers. That humiliation is why they can't meet your eyes. Here's a fact. Studies show that when people are confronted with undeniable evidence against a lie they believed, the brain reacts with shame and anger. That's why people who once joined in on the gossip avoid you now. It's not that they don't see your truth, it's that your presence reminds them they were complicit in spreading the lie. And that burns more than anything else. And maybe you've wondered, why don't they just admit they were wrong? Because admitting the truth would mean confessing their envy, their malice, and their weakness. It's easier for them to keep hiding, to keep running, than to face the embarrassment of having been exposed. So instead of confronting reality, they avoid you, hoping distance will shield them from their own guilt. But chosen one, don't mistake their avoidance as victory for them. It's defeat. Because no matter how far they run, your existence follows them. Every success you earn, every step you take, every time you rise, it's a dagger in the heart of their lies. They can twist your name all they want, but they can't twist the truth of your results. So understand this. You are dangerous not just because of what you do, but because of what you reveal. You're the mirror they can't bear to look into, the reality they can't out-talk, the presence that unmasks every deception. And the cruelest part for them? You never had to lift a hand. You didn't shout, you didn't argue, you just kept being you, and in the end, that's what made their entire house of lies collapse. Number 15. You're the storm they can't outrun. They prayed for your downfall the way people pray for clear skies, but instead, they got thunder. Chosen one. That's exactly why you terrify them. Your enemies thought you were just a spark, a moment, something they could wait out until you burned yourself out. But you didn't fade. You transformed. You became a storm, and storms don't ask for permission. They arrive, they strike, they change landscapes forever. That's the kind of energy you carry. Relentless, unshakable, and permanent. Imagine this. Your enemies board up their windows, whispering, "It'll pass, it'll pass." They close their ears to the rumble of your progress. They bury their heads, hoping silence will return. But storms don't vanish on command. And you? You come back fiercer every time. You are the downpour that drowns their lies, the thunder that drowns their gossip, the lightning that exposes every shadow they tried to hide in. They can't escape you because your energy is not an event, it's a climate. Here's a fact. Storms reshape the earth. Rivers are carved, mountains crumble, forests regrow after fire. That's you, chosen one. You don't just shake things up, you rewrite the landscape entirely. They call you destructive, but the truth is you're cleansing. Their weak foundations collapse under your force, while your strength builds something indestructible in its place. That's why they call you dangerous. It's easier than admitting you were the change they never had the courage to be. And maybe you ask yourself, why do they keep acting like I'm temporary when I've proven I'm not? Because admitting your permanence would mean surrendering. It would mean acknowledging that they've already lost. So they trick themselves with lies. This won't last, they'll fade, they'll slow down. But storms don't fade for the comfort of the weak, and you don't shrink for the peace of your enemies. So chosen one, embrace it. You are the storm they cannot outrun. Every time they think it's safe, you rise again, louder, stronger, brighter. You are thunder in their silence, lightning in their darkness, rain that never misses its mark. You don't chase them, you engulf them. And the cruelest truth for them? Storms don't apologize. They arrive, they consume, and they remind the world that nothing will ever be the same again. Number 16. The crown. They tried to steal. Still belongs to you. Kings and queens aren't crowned by people. They're crowned by the universe. And chosen one, that's the truth your enemies choke on. They schemed, they lied, they dug pits, they sharpened daggers in the dark. They whispered your name with venom, thinking they could strip you of what was never in their hands to begin with. They wanted your crown, But here's the brutal reality. They could never wear it because it was never made for their heads. It was forged for you in fire, in pain, in resilience. And no amount of gossip, betrayal, or sabotage can unmake what the universe sealed. Imagine this. They gather in their secret corners, convinced they've won, celebrating as though they've finally buried you for good. But then the earth shakes, the dust clears, and you rise again, unbroken, unbent, untouched, and on your head, the same crown they tried to snatch, only now it gleams brighter because it survived the storm with you. That's why they tremble. It's not just your survival that haunts them. It's the undeniable proof that every time they come against you, they end up crowning you higher. Here's a fact. History has always shown that stolen crowns don't last. Every empire built on lies eventually collapses. Every throne claimed through deceit eventually crumbles. Why? Because crowns aren't inherited through gossip or handed over through manipulation. They're earned in silence, through endurance, through the kind of strength only chosen ones carry. That's why your enemies failed. They thought the crown was jewelry, but it was weight. They thought it was status, but it was responsibility. They thought it was just glory, but it was blood, sacrifice, and scars. They wanted the shine, but they could never bear the cost. And maybe you've asked, why do they keep coming for me when they know I'll rise again? Because envy blinds them. They see the crown, but not the wounds. They see the light, but not the fire that forged it. They think taking what you have will make them you, but all it does is expose how empty they are without their masks. Your crown can't be stolen because it isn't an object. It's essence. It's who you are. So, chosen one, wear it with no apology. Walk through every room like the living reminder that the universe crowns those who endure, not those who scheme. Your enemies will keep plotting, but every plot only deepens their defeat. They will keep running, but every escape will lead them right back into your shadow. And as they scatter, you remain, crowned, chosen, unstoppable. This is the final truth. They thought they could take your destiny, but they only helped prove it. They thought they could silence you, but they only made your story louder. They thought they could bury you, but they forgot. You were the seed, and seeds don't die, they multiply. So let them whisper, let them plot, let them run. The crown still sits on your head, untouched, unshaken, undeniable. It was never theirs. It was always yours. And the universe itself made sure they'll have to watch, powerless, as you rise higher, wearing what they could never earn. And that's the end of their story, and the beginning of your legend.